Good afternoon, everybody. I think you're able to comment today, and you should be able to see this live wherever you're watching it, on whatever stream. Hopefully, more people can now access it as we did it through YouTube. So we will begin today with a psalm, as we usually do. Psalm 20, Lam Natseyach Mizmer LeDavid Yan, Chadi Nebi Im Tzari, Sagev Chashem LeYaakov, Yishlach Ezer Chami Kedesh, Umitzion Yisadeka, Yizkar Cham Chesacha, Ve'los Chidash Nesela, Yitalacha Chavavecha, V'chalatzos Chayim Alei, Neran Rabbi Shuasacha, V'Shem Aleinu Nidgel Yamali, Adinei Kol Mishal Yisacha, Teyadaiti Keshi, Adinei Meshicha, Yaneim Mishmekache, Begur, Teshim Yinei, Ei Levarechev, Yei Levasusim, Vanachnu B'Shem, Adinei Leinu Nazkir, Hey, Makaru v'nafalu v'anachnu kamnu v'nisayda d'adina Yeshia hamelech yaneinu v'yayim kareinu. What I would like to do today, before we begin, just an insight into the Passover Seder and to the story of Passover, just review a few technicalities and laws pertaining these next few days so that everybody can have a better insight of what's going to happen in the next few days, especially in the complicated times that we're living in today. So first of all, tonight, as being the night before Passover, is the common custom that we search for the chametz. This is a mitzvah, which can only be done once a year. The blessing that we make on the search of the chametz is one of the only blessings that are done once, and the blessing that you can only make once. So the custom is that we put down 10 small pieces of bread, wrap it in a napkin, not in tin foil, because you want to be able to destroy it the next day, in a tissue paper, spread it around the house, go around the house with a little candle or a flashlight, and a wooden spoon, feather, and collecting those 10 pieces of chametz. Before searching the chametz, make the special blessing. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam al bir chametz. After concluding the blessing, then we search the chametz. After searching the chametz and you've gathered all your 10 pieces, you then nullify the chametz. The prayer can be found. We have it online in the email that we sent out a few days ago. And also you can do it on jewishally.com/Passover. You have all the prayers there to say to nullify the chametz. Tomorrow morning, here are some important times. These times are for the Suffolk County area. The times for finish the last time that we can finish eating chametz tomorrow is at 10:39. That means by 10:39 you should have finished eating all the chametz. You then have another hour to get rid of all the chametz in your possession, whether if you're selling it, to put it into areas where they will be closed and mark them as chametz, that you should know not to go on them on Passover. Those are sold to the non-Jew. Just a quick reminder, whoever didn't sell their chametz yet, please make sure to fill out the form online to sell your chametz, so we're able to have it to the non-Jew on time. Again, that's selling your chametz. Please make sure to do it today so that by tomorrow it is all done. Tomorrow you're just going to take all your leftover chametz, pack it up into a closet, lock it up, that you're not going to see it for the next 8 days. Also, then the 10 pieces that you searched for and found, if you can make a fire in your backyard and burn it, that's great. If not, you can flush it down the toilet. At 11:39, that is the last time for us to own any chametz any longer. It should all be burnt and sold by 11:39. By 1 o'clock tomorrow, which is midday, that's when the beginning of Passover. This year, by the midday, that's when Passover, like officially, not the laws, all the laws of Passover, but the no work, you're allowed to still drive and things like that. But so therefore, all the preparations for the Passover Seder should be done then as well. Just a reminder, you could put any questions in the comments, and I'm able to see it. So if anybody has any questions about what I'm saying. Also, tomorrow is a special day where they do the fast of the firstborn. If you're a firstborn male, then there's an obligation to fast and thanking God for the miracle that happened to the Jewish people, that the firstborn were spared from the others, from the Egyptians. Being that today we can't come to a synagogue to be able to hear the siyum of the firstborn, we have arranged that at 9:50, that's 10 to 10 tomorrow, Avram will be making a siyum over Zoom. We'll send out a link again and we'll post it if anybody wants to log on to be able to participate in the siyum and the special celebration, which will then exempt the firstborn from fasting tomorrow. Tomorrow night, candlelighting begins at 7:07 p.m. After candlelighting, then at 8:08 is when your Seder should begin with the first cup of wine, should only be drunk after 8:08. The actual matzah, make sure that whatever at least the main objectives of the Passover Seder should be done is the 4 cups of wine, eating the matzah, shmur matzah preferably, of course, and as we know, the shmur matzah on the first night of the Seder is bread of faith. On the second night of the Seder is bread of healing. And when we have faith before the healing, then we don't need to have the worry about the healing whatsoever. When healing comes first and then faith, that only a person gets healed because of faith, then unfortunately has to go through the process of being healed. But if we have faith to begin with, then we have the matzah first, and we don't have to need the bread of healing, and everything is healed even without us even knowing about it. Especially this year, it's more important that we should be careful in eating the special shmur matzahs. The world needs a healing. And ultimately, collectively, when all of us eat the shmur matzah on the nights of Passover, this will bring a collective healing to all those in need and to the world at large. The Passover schedule is as the Passover holiday is for Thursday, Friday, and then Shabbos it continues, so it's like a 3-day holiday. So therefore, tomorrow as well, before a holiday, being that we want to cook on the holiday for Shabbos, so there's something called an Eruv Tavshilin, that we cook special foods for, that we designate 2 specific for the matzah and another piece of food, and we put it away for Shabbos, making a special blessing, and that allows us to cook on Shabbos, on Yom Tov, for Shabbos. As well, don't forget, you should light a candle that you should be able to have a pre-existing flame to light your Shabbos candles on Thursday night and on Friday night. If anybody has any further questions about the different customs, we'll discuss them. You feel free to put it in the comments, and we'll get to them momentarily as well. Just a short thought on today's, as we get closer to Passover, and as we look at the world around us, especially in times of crisis, one of the things that people are always looking for is a leader. A kind of leader that's going to be able to help them and get through times of stress, times of trouble, but even more so just a leader that they can give them enthusiasm, excitement, passion, something that can help them, or not even just help them, just lead them. And we always look for what does it mean to be a true leader. And if we look at the story of the exodus of the Jewish people, as the Jewish people right before the night before they leave Egypt, the night of the 14th, which is tomorrow night, the Torah tells us that Pharaoh, because wasn't able to sleep as he hears all the firstborn dying around him, and in the middle of the night, he goes to 2 homes in the city of Goshen, which was like the Jewish ghetto that was in Egypt. And he's looking for 2 people, Moses and Aaron. And he says, get out, take the Jewish people. You shouldn't be here anymore. Get out of here. Everybody's starting to die. Even if we go a little bit earlier, who are the ones that approached Pharaoh to tell Pharaoh to let the Jewish people go out of Egypt? It was Moses and Aaron. Moses and Aaron together approached Pharaoh that they should allow the Jewish people to leave. Why was it that there was this pair, this duo that came along? Yes, we know God approached Moses, and Moses was reluctant to go, giving the excuses of a speech impediment, and ultimately Aaron led along with him. But what was the need that Moses and Aaron should go together? What was the need that ultimately, in all the cases where the Jewish people were led out of Egypt, it wasn't just Moses himself. And in fact, that Moses says, find the right person to go to. Why the double? Why the duplicity? If Moses didn't want to do it, why didn't Aaron just do it himself? Why did God say, okay, Moses, you have the speech impediment, so Aaron's going to be your helper. Aaron should have just been his replacement. And over here we have an unbelievable explanation, which is, and as the Rabbi explains to us, that in every message that has to come across, there are 2 parts of the message. There's a message that has to come across that you have to know, you have to be thorough in the message that you have. But secondly, there has to be a message that has to be given over in a way that people should be able to receive it and listen to it. Meaning that I can have all the information I need, I can have all the charts, I can be the greatest scientist in it, whatever it may be. But if I don't have the proper tools to communicate that message that I may have, it's nothing worth. If I have the best form of communication, but I don't have the knowledge and I'm not thorough in the concept, again, I can't relay the message. So I need two things. I need the intelligence, the intel to be able to know what the message is, and I need the wherewithal to be able to deliver the message. Many times there are people who don't have that ability to be able to deliver both messages. Sometimes you can have, take for example, you can have an accountant who knows the laws of all the different accounting, but he can't stand up and defend or whatever it may be. He knows it on the books, but he doesn't have the means to express it. A lawyer may have the means to express it, but he doesn't know the details of the accounting. Same ideas when we talk about the concepts that exist in general in any type of, especially as we see today in what's going on around the world. There are many people who have different ideas, but may not have the message or the wherewithal to be able to do it. Moses was an individual who was absolutely aloof of anything type of physical. He was the most spiritual person we can think about. He was an absolute conduit to whatever God wanted the Jewish people to know about. He was a person that went on Mount Sinai. He was one that was in the Holy Temple, always God speaking to him at every time and every moment. He was an absolute spiritual person. His job was to deliver the message the way God said it, without any filter. Exactly the way God said it. It didn't make a difference if people liked it or not. He had to say it the way God said it. Aaron, on the other hand, was a person who was a people, made it palatable, made it that the people should be able to understand it, made it that they should be able to realize. Aaron was a person, when he saw two people in a dispute, he brought them together, a person of love, camaraderie. He was able to feel the nuances of the individual. He was able to take Moses' aloof message and bring it down to the level of the individual to say, well, if Aaron says it, it must be right. Over here, we see the two personalities of Moses and Aaron. Moses represented God, while Aaron represented the Jewish people. Moses brought the word of God exactly the way it was. Aaron then brought it to the people to make it palatable, and it should permeate their being. The Rabbi himself, just 2 days ago was the Rebbe's birthday, and the Rebbe's personality was one of these cross personalities between Moses and Aaron, which on one hand, he was a person with his head in the sky, absolutely genius and spiritual, unbelievable knowledge of intellect, of Torah, vast knowledge. And at the same time, he was a person who was very pragmatic, very straightforward, with feet on the ground, knowing exactly what it had to do. The Rebbe was able to teach us and able to show us the exact way how we can get along, so to speak, and bring about the Torah to its practical application, even as lofty as it may be. The Rebbe was able, and Judaism stresses and going into the ways of Hasidism teaches us that we can take the most highest levels of matter and bring it to the simplest people. This is what the Torah is telling us when we talk about two leaders. Two leaders in every single situation, whenever we study and whenever we teach, whenever we look at somebody else. We shouldn't just think about the message. We have to think about who we're telling the message to. The same exact message is true to every single person. The Torah is true regardless of where it is. But how we tell it, the feeling that we apply in it to every individual makes a big difference. Here's a story that brings this point to life. I'm sure you all know there's an organization called BBYO, the B'nai B'rith Youth Organization. In 1968, this organization was doing a massive conference in Minnesota. And the organizers of the conference, Rabbi Moshe Feller, who was then the young shliach of the Rebbe in Minnesota, and they asked him to give a talk in front of this BBYO conference. Just a few months before, in 1967, the Rebbe spoke about the tefillin campaign and trying to get as many people possible to put on tefillin. And Rabbi Feller thought a great idea. He said most of these young students who have come or are coming to this conference have probably never seen tefillin before in their life. So when he comes to the conference, he's going to give a talk and afterwards make a presentation, and everybody will have a chance to put on tefillin at this conference, as he'll have a tefillin stand for them to be able to have that opportunity. This was supposed to happen on Monday, and Tuesday already, This happened on Monday. On Tuesday, he was asked to put again. He asked again if he can come to put on tefillin with all the people. He thought maybe it might be a little too much, but they accepted his idea. But that everybody on Tuesday, all the people, all the children at the conference, all the teenagers were going to put on tefillin. But over here, he had a little bit of a problem. Where is he going to get so many pairs of tefillin? There's 200 boys. Where is he going to get so many tefillin? So he called up the Rebbe's secretariat, and after a few minutes, the Rebbe responded that the Rebbe will pay for all the tefillin, right? For all the pairs of tefillin that are needed. Rabbi Feller found many different scribes, and he was able to get 130 pairs of tefillin, 2 young students, yeshiva students, to come from Brooklyn to help out with this project. This was Monday, the second day of the conference. There were 200 students in their place. Rabbi Feller asked the organizers if they can, the organizer himself of the BBYO, to roll up his sleeve, put on tefillin while everybody sitting in the audience was watching. After the presentation, Rabbi Feller then reported to the Rebbe about this unbelievable thing that he was able to accomplish, that everybody should be able to put on tefillin. While Rabbi Feller is telling the secretary of the Rebbe of what happened, suddenly he hears on the other side of the line, the Rebbe asking, what about tomorrow? The Rebbe wanted to know if the third day of the conference, they're going to be putting tefillin as well. Rabbi Feller said, well, I asked them for 2 days already. Maybe they're not going to want it. How are they going to do it? But the Rebbe told him to speak to the organizers and see if they can arrange that on the third day they can also have that everybody should put on tefillin. And to his surprise, not only were they excited, but they were all, not only were they excited about putting on the tefillin, but the organization even said that we're going to pay for half of the cost of the tefillin so that every child that comes to the BBYO conference that year should be able to go home with tefillin. What are we saying about the story? What happened? They all put on tefillin. Everybody was amazed. They could light Hanukkah candles and whatever it may be, and all the different things were publicized in all the different newspapers. Because Rabbi Feller approached it from an angle. He said, this is tefillin. We all know what tefillin is. But when we do it in a way that is palatable, that people should be able to enjoy it and introduce them, and the Rebbe said, let them show them what it is, and they'll already appreciate it. The same thing is in everything in Judaism. We have to teach, and we have to show them, and make it that people should want to be excited about it. And then they'll be able to appreciate it as well. When it comes to the celebration of Passover, we learn from our leaders, Moshe and Aaron. Moshe didn't dilute Judaism for Jewish people to appreciate it. Aaron didn't dilute it for people to appreciate it. He did it with love, and they all were excited to learn and be part of it. As we celebrate the Passover Seder, you're going to be celebrating it with your families at home. Make sure to celebrate it with love, with passion, and with excitement. Yes, it's going to be tough that some of us may be alone, but bring that love instead of that sorrow. Realize the time that you have to be able to enjoy this Passover Seder. That this will be a time we'll enjoy it maybe alone this time, but we're not alone. We're together celebrating the Passover Seder, each in our own home, just like the Jewish people did back in Egypt. Every Jew had to be in his home on the 14th night of Nisan. They were not allowed to leave. They were quarantined in their home, because every single Jew was celebrating together in their home as the Jewish nation. And the next day, they merited to go out of Egypt with the grand exodus. Let us all celebrate together Passover. Yes, we will be celebrating in our home, but even before that, we'll be celebrating the greatest exodus of all, the coming of Mashiach. May it be now. Amen. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to put it in the comments. I'm sure if you see on the side, there's a live chat. In the YouTube panel, you can put any questions if anybody has. If anybody has any questions concerning Passover as well, feel free to put it in. Okay, well, God bless you all. Have a good Yom Tif. God willing, we're going to try to do this again tomorrow, even though it's going to be Erev Pesach, but we'll try our best. And we'll give you a few snippets for the Seder. Take care. God bless you. Only good news. Just one question. If the prayer for cooking in the Passover book, yes, it is. The first page in the Passover Seder should be the Erev Tavshilin. If not, you can look it on jewishally.com/Passover. put in the words Eruv Tavshilin. We're going to be sending out an email today with a link to it as well. All the best.